Hello, I am Jeff Hajek. I'm the owner and founder of Action, and I'm here with another of my ramblings of a continuous improvement coach. And today I'm going to talk a little bit about why it's important to make sure that people understand that continuous improvement is part of their job and it is not an additional job that you're tacking on. So yesterday, or not yesterday, but the last episode 4, I talked about using 10% as your guideline, that you want to have about 10% of your staff available, your staff time used for continuous improvement. If you don't do that, what happens is every time you do a project, it disrupts the flow of production. So a team member may have to work ahead to be able to leave for a project, or they may have a pile of work waiting for them when they come back, or they might have to work overtime, or any of these other things that show that continuous improvement is an afterthought and it's not part of their normal role. So if you make it something that doesn't fit into the normal 40-hour work week without any repercussions, then that whole concept of continuous improvement being a part of your role goes away, because the actions are different from the words that you're using. The actions are that you're saying it's not as important as everything else. Now, I get it that production is king, but that doesn't mean you can't plan around it. So if you're not planning for continuous improvement time, it's not a priority for you. So like I said, the key points are, 1, if you don't make continuous improvement a priority, it sends the wrong message. You're saying that it's not really that important. So you'll have other kinds of meetings, you'll have HR meetings, you'll do different types of training, but if you don't show the effort that you're making the time available to give the resources for continuous improvement, you're showing that it's not important to you. And number 2, the second problem is if you make it so that there's consequences for being on a continuous improvement team, such as piles of work or long hours or disrupting their schedule, then you start seeing that people aren't going to want to be on your teams. So if you make it hard to be on a team and you don't get the resources and it makes it painful, people aren't going to volunteer. They're just not going to want to be part of your continuous improvement efforts. So you got to make sure that it is not perceived as something extra that they have to do. So this whole concept of continuous improvement as part of your job gets worse if there's a negative repercussion for actually doing continuous improvement. So let's say you are in customer service and you leave to go work on a project, and your desk has a pile of work coming back, and in that pile there's an angry customer's information. So this customer is now getting irate, and you might even lose sales over it because you're gone. Now when you come back, if the manager of that person, the customer service person gets on the team member about it and says, why did this customer have this problem? You can see how it's going to make that person resistant to ever being on a team again if when they come back, there's always something that they're in trouble for. So you got to make sure that that person is basically immune to any consequences from their normal job when they're off on a different team. And it doesn't mean that they can't let things pile up and that, it's not real immunity. You've got to make sure that you plan ahead. But what I'm saying is, given like a normal circumstance, if something comes in where they're gone and it causes a problem, you cannot take it out on the person. You can't give them a consequence for it as a leader, because again, it sends the wrong message. It says that, we're not really following through on what we're saying, that continuous improvement is important, because when we take you on a job, you're still responsible for everything else. It's not, we don't want your full undivided attention on the continuous improvement project. So that's one issue. And the second issue is, if you make it so it's an extra part of your job, the rest of the team has to pull up a lot of slack. And if your team members are starting to get angry at each other because there's just not enough time to do everything, so if one team member volunteers for a Kaizen event and they're gone for the full week and the rest of the team has no slack built in, they now have to do an extra person's job, and it's not going to be fun for them. So the first person who's on a team comes back, the rest of the team's going to be angry at them. And if you start making people angry at each other over your continuous improvement program, you got a real big problem, because you're not going to get support if that's the situation that you're creating by treating continuous improvement as an add-on. So that kind of wraps up what I'm talking about for today. I think you get the message. If you have any questions, comment down below and I'll try to answer them as quickly as I can. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you do, like and subscribe. I'd appreciate that. It really helps out the channel here if I get more feedback like that. And again, I'm Jeff Hajek. I'm the owner and founder of Action, and I'm wishing you the best on your continuous improvement journey.